Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot, hopefully your favorite Darktide YouTuber, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the provisional patch notes for patch 14. These are the upcoming changes coming to Darktide, okay? And although they're not finalized and we have no actual date for their release, it's pretty cool to know what's coming up. So, let's get started. Suppression boost for all operatives goes from 5% to 25%. The Psyker, the set wield quell chain time. What this string of mumbo jumbo words means is that it'll be more fluid to start quelling after you switch to your blitz. All right, so let's say you're on a staff, you want to switch to your blitz, you can still quell fast. You can quell faster than you already do. There is some awkwardness right now. It's hard to explain without a demonstration, but obviously I don't have an exact clip of this, but it is a little bit awkward. So hopefully this solves that awkwardness and makes the wielding animations all much more fluid. For the Brain Rupture Blitz, they are reducing the peril cost of charging the right click. They have reduced the movement penalties from charging, increased its power, increased its armor damage modifiers, and apparently they fixed an issue where Brain Burst / Brain Rupture would cause an explosion even with the Talon and Powered Psionics active. So yeah, okay, that's interesting. I've never once seen it explode though, so I'm like, it would actually be cool if Brain Burst caused an AoE explosion. Would be nice, yeah. Turn them into a living grenade. Okay, Assail is getting the power of its primary action reduced, okay, because they want to reduce the spamminess of the primary attack. The secondary aimed attack will receive quite a jump in power from 250 now to 340, and if you've got Empowered Psionics, it goes all the way up to 400. So I would still use this only with warp charges anyway, because the idea behind this is that you can spam for hordes, if you need some quick clearing, and then after that you can use your aimed attacks to deal with snipers, distant targets, things like that. I'm actually gonna enjoy this change. So people said it would be a nerf. Looks like a nerf is not coming. I mean, this is technically a nerf, but this I don't think is going to impact on its usability. Expect me to test it as soon as this patch drops, whenever it does. Others are just fixing of issues of targeting, etc, etc. For Smite, there will be no more unlimited peril. Okay, so do take note of that. They are changing it so that Empowered Psionics will now have Smite deal plus 125% damage, and it will have a 50% faster spread between enemies. They have fixed an issue where the Talon Empowered Psionics incorrectly made Smite not cost any peril at all, which was one of the major issues which I told you would get fixed. For Psykinetics Wrath, they've added a small 10% quell to the base ability so that you can still use it. You can now use it to get out of trouble, all right? If you ever get in trouble with your peril. Scryer's Gaze, they fixed an issue with it for the sound effects. For the Telekine Shield and Dome Shield, the most important thing to take note, other than the increased duration on the shields, is that the shield can they fixed the issue where you can spam it, here. Fixed an issue where Warp Siphon Talon granted an instant cooldown of Telekine Shield and Telekine Dome abilities. So this has been cleared now. For the Talon Soul Stealer, they are reducing it from 15% toughness replenishment to 7.5%. Talent Perilous Combustion has been reduced from 4 stacks to 3 stacks, yeah. The Talent Prescience will have increased critical hit chance bonus increased to 5% from its previous 4%, and Kinetic Presence, which is currently used, will have a reduced damage bonus down to 5% from 10%, okay? That about covers it for the Psyker. Now let's look at the Zealot changes. The Blades of Faith, which is your knife throw, will now be small. The knife will be smaller, making it easier to hit a priority target in hordes and avoid accidentally hitting the smaller target. It has some limited cleave and can cleave through one small enemy. All right, so if a Poxwalker happens to get in your way, it won't absorb your knife. They've increased the power from 500 to 585 to help reach some weak spot breakpoints. They've increased the flak armor damage modifier from 0.75 to 0.8. They fixed some minor animation issues, but don't get too happy yet, Zealots. This patch isn't out. Once it's out, please go get as happy as you can. All right. The Shroud Field, they have reduced the backstab damage bonus from Perfectionist from 100% to 50%. So I don't know if this will affect you guys one-shotting monstrosities, but yeah. This was done to avoid single hits doing too much damage. Yeah. All right. They've changed the finesse damage bonus from being multiplicative to additive, and Daemon Host will now be able to see Zealots using Shroud Field to avoid cases where players can aggro a Daemon Host and make it attack other players by going invisible. This change is actually seen on the Veteran as well for their Infiltrate. You can't use it to evade the Demon Host anymore. For Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude, which is the that ability there where they pull out the Rosarius and like bless everybody with toughness, they've added a functionality to cancel the ability with the secondary action input. They've changed the action chaining so that you're not allowed to cancel out of the ability during the wielding animation. This is to avoid accidental canceling of the ability before it is started. They changed so that monstrosities are only staggered by the first and last pulse of the ability instead of being staggered all the way. For the talent Inexorable Judgment, it now only activates on melee and ranged hits. The talent Second Wind added 0.5 seconds internal cooldown, increased toughness replenish from 10% to 15%, Shield of Contempt, reduced damage reduction from 75% to 60%, Talent Bleed for the Emperor, reduced damage reduction from 50% to 40%. I don't know how this will help because I often see Zealots go down all the time, so I would really like them to change this. But hopefully, you know, the Zealots can still be decent. Yeah, I don't want them dying all the time, that's all. They fixed the talent Martyr's Purpose having the wrong icon, fixed an issue where Beacon of Purity Aura could leave players with remaining corruption damage, and fixed issues where the talent Sainted Gunslinger didn't activate when reloading combat shotguns or stub revolvers, okay? Now for the Veteran. They're working on an update to the Veteran's talent tree, including Keystones now, which will be coming in a future patch. They hope that these changes to your abilities will still be interesting enough to open up a few more build paths, which we already have, by the way, guys. I have 2 Veteran builds coming and more on the way. Alright, it's just taking time to test it. Don't you worry. And no, none of them are the infinite last gun builds. Don't worry about that. I will make builds that work in Auric Damnation and legitimately, you know, can function with randos on your team. The Plasma Gun build is already out for those that want to check it. Now, let's go on. They've reduced the Veteran's stamina regeneration delay from 1.25 to 1 second flat, so we will start regenerating stamina quicker than before. The Blitz of Smoke Grenade, they've done it so that there will be a small stagger on the Smoke Grenade explosion. The duration at base is now 15 seconds, and if you have Grenade Tinkerer, the duration will be 30 seconds instead. Crack Grenade, they've changed the behavior of the talent Twin Blast, so one grenade will land where it's aimed, and the duplicate grenade will land in a random position nearby. For Volley Fire and Executioner Stance, you can now decrease the cooldown while it's going on. Alright, so if you have a longer uptime, much like it was before, it will reward you more because you can use it sooner. The talent Counterfire added Scab Stalkers as Volley Fire targets, thankfully. So now all the ranged troopers should be properly marked. The last is just a fix. Infiltrate will have a cooldown reduction from 60 seconds down to 45 seconds, a buff to my Infiltrate Veteran, which is coming very soon. Duration from 6 seconds to 8 seconds, so you can position better if you need to. Alright? And the Daemon Host change I talked about earlier. Voice of Command will see a cooldown reduction from 45 seconds to 30 seconds. They've added a stronger stagger to Voice of Command, and it'll now be able to stagger monstrosities and mutants. For the Only in Death Does Duty End talent related to Voice of Command, they have increased the cooldown increase from the previous 33% to 50%. This is to match the cooldown duration. So Voice of Command at base will be 30 seconds, and then if, you know, you have this talent added, it'll go back up to 45 seconds. All right. So right now it would go from 45 to 60. So this is to just keep the changes in line. For Duty and Honor, previously everybody only in the shout radius only gained 50 toughness. Now it's gone up to 100 toughness extra, and the duration is 15 seconds. So Voice of Command will be an even stronger support ability. They fixed an issue where the ability didn't play some sound effects. The talent Deadshot, it's no longer going to be a percentage of max stamina. Instead, 0.75 stamina will be consumed per second, and 0.25 stamina will be consumed per shot. So it's no longer percentage based, now it's just consuming your flat stamina base. For the talent exploit weakness, alright, the description read rending, but it's actually brittleness, so I hope you guys are aware of this. They've changed it from 2.5% brittleness to 10%, so you only need 2 crits to get your max stacks of brittleness, and the max stacks is 2. So right now, if you math it out, okay, you could have, don't look at my porn, yeah, just in case. You can have 40% stacks, you can have 40% brittleness. This is now going down to 20, so they're halving it for exploit weakness. The talent rending strikes will go from 15% to 10%. But onslaught is staying the same. Onslaught also applies brittleness, but that's staying exactly as it is at 40%. So weapons that can crit but don't continuously fire will benefit from the exploit weakness change, and rending strikes overall will be reduced. For keep their head down, the range attack suppression is going from 25% to 50%. For the talent demolition team, they've corrected the description to state that only the veteran receives a grenade. The gameplay change was already made, but the description didn't get updated, so it doesn't benefit your team. Please remove demolition team from your builds. It's not helpful anymore. I will be adjusting this to include other potential talents. For the Ogryn changes, the Blitz Big Friendly Rock will see a cooldown reduction. Now, apologies, I'm not very experienced with the Ogryn, so I may get some of this wrong. It has increased maniac damage, increased impact versus monstrosities, and they've lowered the chaining time, so it should be smoother to throw your rocks. For the frag bomb, they have modified the damage here. You guys would have to delve into this if you're an Ogryn player. For Loyal Protector, they fixed an issue where the Demon Host was behaving weirdly after the Ogryn Loyal Protector activation. They fixed an issue where the ability didn't play sound effects for other players. Okay, interesting enough. Combat ability, Point Blank Barrage. They fixed an issue where the ability would not trigger the talent Reloaded and Ready. And for the talent Light 'em Up, they reduced the stacks of burn from 3 to 2. For the talent Batter, they've reduced the number of bleed stacks applied from heavy attacks from 6 to 4. For Pained Outburst, they fixed an issue where the talent would return 100% toughness instead of 25%, and would replenish toughness if knocked down. Ooh. Excuse me, my nose is a bit bothered by the night air. Normally I don't film videos at this time, I film them in the middle of the afternoon, but yes, please, I apologize for that. I just really wanted to get this video out to you guys, so hopefully you can forgive me. For the enemies, they are tweaking the enemy base health on all difficulties. The focus is on bigger elites to make them stay alive for longer. They just basically want the elites alive for longer, and for the conflict director to spawn less elites. So each elite will now be a lot tougher, but you shouldn't get swarmed by like 15 bajillion crushers, maulers, that kind of thing. So hopefully this is a positive change, because some missions, when you're trying to play them with randos, is nightmarish. The mutant's base health is going from 1,900 to 2,000, sorry. This is now the same base health as before the class overhaul patch. This will affect whether or not you can one-shot with the chainsword, so this will be tested as soon as the patch is dropped. Bulwark base health has been increased from 1,500 to 1,800. Crushers gone from 1,500 to 1,800. The Dragon Scab Ragers have gone from 800 to 1,200. The Scab Mauler base health increase from 1,200 to 1,500. And they've added a new backstab sound for elites. They've increased the heavy stagger threshold for Crushers, Maulers, and Reapers. They've lowered the push force applied by Scab Drag Gunner shots by around 70%. They've tweaked Scab Stalker combat ranges to increase distance, where they switch from melee to range attacks. The Scab Shooter can now trigger on successful dodge procs, and the Scab Bomber will now only drop his grenade once the pin pull sound is played. In terms of spawning, they have fixed an issue that caused more flamers to be able to be spawned at the same time. This was not intended. They've added more aggressive speed running prevention spawning. So I guess if you speed too far ahead, they're gonna really swarm you, so you have to be careful with that. Cohesion is more important now. All right, but don't linger too long. Don't just stay in a room. Very bad idea. Move, but move as a team, okay? Fixed an issue where monster specials condition could fail to set the weakened state. Okay, so this will help some Maelstrom runs. For mutants, they've improved dodging when mutant charges players around corners. They added extra wall collision raycast. Plague Ogryn, they've reduced the Plague Ogryn's stomp radius, thank god, because this was annoying when I think I've dodged but it still hits me. The Beast of Nurgle's slow will, instead of being 50%, will now be 20%, so do take note of that. They fixed a crash that could occur if 2 Beasts of Nurgle tried to consume the same enemy, which would be very rare but hilarious. In terms of the general weapon changes, the full details are in the other side of the patch notes, but in general, bleed damage has been reduced from 200 to 175. This was 40 before patch 13. They've increased the sprint acceleration for ranged assault sprint weapons. They fixed it so recoil doesn't increase while crouched for some weapons. Rending no longer increases stagger strength. It just increases damage, okay? For dueling swords, they've changed the chain windows on all swords to have faster access to the weapon's special attack. They've adjusted cleave values and improved the armor damage versus unyielding or flak on the stab heavy, which is really good. It's now really good for stabbing carapace though. They've slightly increased the power on the stab heavy attack, which is going to be godlike. Hopefully it will still help me hit the breakpoints that I have right now. They've changed the chain windows on all swords to have faster access to the weapon special. In terms of heavy swords, they've set the same damage profile for the first and second target. They've, for the chain axe, increased the maniac armor damage modifier. The kickback, I believe this is an Ogryn weapon, so Ogryns, take note that you've got faster auto reload, increased power, tighter spread for ADS, minimum pellet hit count has been changed from 10 to 16. And for the Grenadier Gauntlet, they've tweaked the values on melee attacks to make it more viable. They fixed an issue where the heavy melee attacks did not allow for talents such as Batter to proc as intended. The Ripper Guns reduced the base reload speed from 30% to 20%, slightly reduced ammo reserve. Okay, so Ripper Guns got a nerf. 4 swords. No more infinite dodges. Now it's set to 5. Okay, so get used to this, which is why right now I believe everybody should switch to the dueling swords. If you guys have not made the switch yet, I highly suggest you do that. If you want me to stream the Psyker and show you guys the dueling sword, I'll happily do so. In terms of force swords, they've also fixed an issue with the smart targeting of the force sword, push follow-up being overly prioritized. They've increased the lights and the heavy attack damage with a bit of increased cleave and finesse, so this will help you guys out with the Elyssi. This is very, very good. The infantry last guns, they've improved the sprint ready up time for all last guns. They've improved the hipfire recoil spread for all last guns, and they've increased the power as well, so this should be really good for the sniper build. Look forward to my sniper veteran. Last pistol increased power, reduced sprint ready up time, slightly increased the fire rate, which is good. They've tweaked the recoil spread and stability to be far less severe, so the Commissar build will be coming back together with Voice of Command. Look forward to it, it's going to be really good. They've tweaked the input buffer so as to reduce the feeling of lost inputs. Good. Thunderhammers will now have 1 extra dodge. They've switched the Mark II Thunderhammer push follow-up to be a light sweep. They've switched the Iron Helm activated strike down, heavy sweeping profile to heavy single target profile, meaning it'll be more effective against single targets. They've switched the Iron Helm chain from push follow to heavy 3 for easier access. For the Crusher has been changed to be more of a fast, crowd-controlling, headshotting focus weapon. They've added 1 more dodge, tuned lights and heavies, damage profile to be more efficient with focusing on headshotting. They've increased the heavy hitbox length from 1.15 to 1.4, tuned up the attack speed. They've switched the push follow-up to light sweeping for higher finesse, and reduced the light and heavy activated explosion radius. Larger decrease on light attack. So using the heavy attacks would create a nice explosion that'll hopefully crowd control, but they've basically changed it to be more of a fast, crowd controlling, headshotting weapon. Okay, tactical axes. Atrox Mark II. They've tuned up single target damage for Light 1 and Light 3. Nice. For the Ogryn Club, they've increased the speed of heavy attacks on the Brunst Basher. The Slap, they've tuned down the impact a bit to avoid juggling enemies in the air. They've fixed so slapping a weak spot can stagger stronger elites such as Crushers. So you can slap a Crusher now and tell it, hey, stop this. They've added chain to heavy attack 1 from push follow-up and slightly increased the chain time. The Devil's Claw Mark 7 push follow-up switched to single target damage profile, following attack changed to a sweeping profile, meaning the first attack will be more useful versus one target, and the following attack will be useful with multiple targets. Cool. Combat axes. Achilles. Added chain to heavy attack 1 from push follow-up. Slightly reduced the chain time. Okay, great. Headhunter autoguns. They've altered the bash weapon special. Now, they've done this with several things. I'm actually not going to go through it because if you use the bash, then I'm happy for you, but most people don't. For the Vrax Mark 3 and the Vrax Mark 7, they have tweaked the recoil behavior on the Headhunter autogun. This is good news for you gun psychers. All right. They have increased the damage per shot on the Mark 7, which is beautiful. Whoops. And decreased the fire rate. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. I want more damage per shot. Thank you. Agrippina Mark 8 Headhunter autogun. They've changed the burst time from 0.175 to 0.1. Not sure if that's a buff or a nerf. Does that mean that the burst is faster? If anyone can clarify, just tell me in the comments. Braced autoguns, all braced autoguns, they've replaced the push on weapon special to sweep. Okay. Basically, you should be able to, bash targets better. For the bolt gun, they say bash targets better as well. Power increase is the main thing, so bolt guns should be stronger after this patch. Infantry auto guns, they have changed the crit effect to be less flashbangy. All infantry auto guns will have increased ammo clip and reserve, hopefully making them viable. The Agrippina infantry auto gun, they've tweaked the recoil and reduced the recoil on the first 3 shots. The increased recoil when moving to more around ×2 of stationary. So basically, don't move when firing, I would say. And they fixed the faulty crouch recoil settings, so this is the one that got fixed. For the columnist, they've tweaked the recoil, reduced the horizontal recoil by a lot, fixed the faulty crouch settings, they've increased sprint speed, increased dodge, they've changed the damage profile to be more effective at close range, far range fall off. I see, okay. They've set the same fall off range as other infantry autoguns, slightly reduced the vertical recoil. So the columnist is going to be more of a faster one. The Graya has a tweaked recoil and increased sprint speed, so that is about it. For the force staffs, they've tweaked the fire time on the force staffs with a projectile primary attack. So the fire time is now 0.1 seconds, up from the previous 0.025. This is because the animations were a little too fast. So yeah, they've been tweaked to better match the fire time. The special bash attack has been changed, but if you're bashing with a staff, I feel really weird about that. Please don't. For Ogryn cleavers, they have fixed it so that the uppercut special can stagger heavy targets such as crushers. For the Battle Maul and Slab Shield, they've increased the push radius to 4 and tuned the chain timings. For the Sapper Shovel, they have tuned the chain timings and increased the damage of the lights and heavies. For the Katakan Mark III Combat Blade, the knife, they have got innate 25% backstab bonus damage to heavies now. And they tweaked up the light and heavy attacks, alright? For the Power Sword, they have given the Mark 6 Power Sword a block cost reduction of 25%. Activation can now be cancelled to a block 0.3 seconds in, keeping the activation. Alright, this change was designed to make the Mark 6 Power Sword more focused on defensive chaining by allowing the block chain to be activated. The activation animation also matches the block animation, so the transition from block to activate is smoother. The activated attack power has been buffed significantly. And heavies with a focus on horde clear. Lights are for DPS or smaller target counts. Push attack and are for weak spot hits for carapace and unyielding damage. Okay. For the Void Strike, they have chain timing from start next projectile set to quell chain time. Okay. They have slightly reduced the previous 70% buff applied to secondary fire to tune down the extreme damage on high health targets. So maybe this will affect the so-called one-shot with the surge. The Surge Staff now has gibbing added to Surge Staff kills. Don't know why this was important, but okay. The Rumbler, they've reduced the sway to make aiming trajectory more reliable. They've added a crosshair during the reload. For human shotguns, they've upped the ammo pools and increased the armor damage modifiers versus unarmored, infested, maniac, and unyielding. I'm sorry, human shotguns just sounded funny as frick to me, so that made me laugh. The Magna Core plasma gun, increased power, increased cleave, increased finesse. So basically, am I going to be able to shoot through everything now? Because if I can, holy cow, I'm going to use nothing but the plasma gun. This is going to buff my build so much, so I'm looking forward to it. For grenades, they've changed the aiming of grenades to update aiming trajectory up to the point of throwing the projectile. Yeah. For blessing changes, well, there's several, but Fire Frenzy has been changed from attack speed to close damage. So close damage goes from 7, 8, 9, 10%, stacking 5 times. Strip down no longer has sprint movement speed. Now it's all about the range attack immunity. Speed load now gives reload speed bonus, has reduced reload speed bonuses. Previously it was 14, 16, 18, 20. Now it's 7, 8, 9, 10. And it triggers on melee kill. Oh, sorry, on close kill. So it doesn't have to be a melee kill, it's a close kill. The duration has been altered across the board as well, so take note of this. Limb Splitter now has reduced cooldowns for its ability. It goes 5 seconds, 4.5, 4 seconds, 3.5. This is a tier 4. For Ruthless Backstab, the rending bonuses have been greatly increased. It was 35, 40, 45, 50. Now it's 90, 100, 110, 120. So for those of you that want to backstab, this is probably the way. For Infernus, they are increasing the maximum burn stacks from 8 to 10 and from 10 to 12. For Can Opener, the increase in brilliance stacks goes, previously it was 5, 6, 7, 8, now it's 10, 12, 14, 16. This is a hell of a lot of brilliance, so I guess Can Opener will really work well for Ogryns that are using it. In terms of bug fixes, if you guys are interested, they fixed several issues where buff icons were not behaving as expected. Icon for Brutal Momentum is now only shown when active instead of always. Icon for the Psyker Talent Kinetic Flare is now shown when active. Metal is now shown when active. Fixed an issue for the icon for the Ogryn Talent Massacre, which didn't update correctly when at max stacks. Maximum Firepower is now shown when active. Veterans Talent Fire Team is no longer shown. Leave No One Behind is now shown when active, both for the player moving towards or reviving a knockdown player when the player is being revived. The icon for the Veteran Talent Tactical Reload is now only shown while reloading. The counter on the icon for the Zealot Talent Blazing Piety now starts 0 instead of 1. Fixed an issue where grenade icons in the team HUD were shown as red or empty for players that had cooldown based blitz abilities. Now the icon will remain white for those players. Additionally, fixed an issue where the icon would show the wrong color sometimes. Okay. They fixed the text issues, so this should no longer be a problem. The mission lobby timer should no longer overlap other UI elements. They fixed the talents tab where the cursor would still be visible while using a gamepad in some menus. Weapons, curios, blessings, and talents. They fixed an issue where the rating value for perks on curios displayed the incorrect numbers. This issue was purely visual, and the game will now display the actual numbers. They fixed an issue where no respite could stack infinitely. Manstopper affected melee weapons. Now it no longer does that. They fixed an issue where thrust would not always wind up to max stacks consistently. They fixed an issue where the shell loaded from a weapon special action on combat shotguns was not fired if shooting immediately after reloading with enough percentage reload speed. They fixed an issue where Surge 4 staffs didn't show hit indicators when damaging enemies. Okay, that's good. The typo fixed in Veteran Talent Close and Kill. They fixed an area around the combat ability in the Psyker tree where talent node paths would allow for incorrect navigational behavior. The localization has been fixed so that they fixed an issue where the text for the Psyker talent would show up as unlocalized. Penance descriptions should now consistently refer to the correct class in all languages. Fixed localization, fixed issues of toughness damage SFX only played when getting hit by range attacks. They fixed the long loading times into Morningstar caused by very long running DNS requests. Okay. Fixed an issue in the mission board screen where secondary objective text would remain. Okay. They fixed a crash that could occur when aiming down sights or bracing a weapon and getting interrupted by an attack. Fixed an issue where players entered a crouching state after sliding if hold to crouch was disabled. Okay. Fixed an issue where the display on auspexes was invisible when spectating during hacking. Meaning the hacking in game, not when you guys actually hack the game, by the way. Fixed an issue where explosion kills sometimes did not get reported correctly to the kill feed. Fixed a crash, which would occasionally happen when using a gamepad. Fixed a crash, fixed issue. Like there's a whole bunch of issues that they fixed, yeah. So okay, most of the rest are just simple bug fixes and all that stuff. I don't think I need to read them out to you, although I read most of them already. That is about it for the patch notes. I will have a link to this as well as part 2 where you can see all the math. Okay, the links to part 2 and all that you can get directly from this post, so I'll just link you guys to this post. Thank you very much for watching this video. Tell me what you guys think. Are you excited for this patch? Because I am pretty excited for some of the changes to actually go through. I'm looking forward to them. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to support my channel further, you can always grab a channel membership, super chat. You can send super thanks on YouTube or become a channel member. All of this really helps us out and helps us create more content for you guys. In fact, I'm going to thank some of the awesome people that make these videos possible. Okay. Starting right at the top, our October Big Wig supporters. And yes, I can the music just for this part because it's a shout out. The top tipper is River Archer 124. Top tipper list goes to Vazkin. Top super chatter, Jason Kun. Top super chatter list, Oracle Blade, Death Dawning 982, Dookie, Strix, Desert Fox, John Taylor. Top channel membership gifter is Nightshade. Thank you guys so much. In terms of our channel members who make all of our amazing content possible, here are the people I need to thank. Starting at the highest tier, we've got Big Chungus at the only fan level. We've got Death Dawning 982 with Plus Ultra. We've got Yuri, Jason Kun, Jerry Fast, Rogue Assassin, and Zach MG at Prestige. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you to all of our honored robots as well. The following individuals we have: Cordova, Yabs, Nightshade, Corey Ryu, Bob John Cube, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Chase Taylor, Nathan Strong, Lady Neo, Joey Danze, Sayed Assad, Coda CMF, Kami SMH, Conrad C, and Benjamin Savage. Thank you to you all. You guys are amazing. Okay, wouldn't know what to do if not for my honored members. Thank you to all my cool and weird bots as well. Let me know what you think of this, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Okay, y'all have a good night now.